The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by the host of this show are for entertainment purposes only. I repeat, this is not serious, this is not real. I am an untrained professional content creator who is freestyling this show. I do not encourage you to try this at home alone. Enjoy the show.
What's up, guys? What's up? Welcome to episode 5 of Chicas Locas. Excellent. Uh,
Hey.
my name is Cynthia, and I go by What's Up, Cynthia, and I am co-hosting this show with Yolanda, who goes by the Mad Chatter and Pixel T. How are you doing tonight, Yolanda?
I'm doing good. You've got that vibe already going with that music.
You like that? Know the Ledge? Oh, that was one of the that was a song off of Juice. Did you ever see Juice?
Man, it's been so long.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about it. That was off of the 1991 soundtrack of Juice. Girl, that was 34 years ago. Can you believe that?
Oh my goodness.
That what we saw, of course, was from In Living Color. It was in season 3. And of course, that is Eric B. and Rakim, who that song "Don't Know the Ledge" is on the Juice soundtrack, and also off of their 1992 album "Don't Sweat the Technique." Tonight we're going to talk about trigger words, and so the reason I picked that song is because if you're going to step out here into the metaverse, is what we call this place. You're going to need to know what's your ledge. Know what your triggers are, and know what your boundaries are. Is like you always saying, is setting the boundary. So, but before we get started, I wanted to kind of go over a couple of lyrics out of this song because I found it interesting that even though this song is 34 years ago, some of these lyrics still ring true today. And one of them was, "Don't doubt the clout. You know what I'm about." It's crazy to me to think that they were talking about clout, but clout has been around for a very long time, way before the internet. And I really hadn't put that in perspective yet.
Yeah, when you were just talking about the metaverse, we're coming out here into the word jungle.
Mm. Oh, yeah. I like the way you said that. There's another lyric there that says, "Somebody's got to suffer. I might just spare one and give a brother a fair one. Stay alert." And isn't that so true? Sometimes you can just be sitting on the panel, and the next thing you know, you're catching shots. You're catching shots, and you don't even know what's going on. So,
yep, daily being sniped.
right, but it's stay alert. That rings true today. And one of them says, "I don't like because I don't like stress. The streets ain't no place for innocent bystanders to stand. Nothing's gonna stop the plan." Man, boy, there is no such thing as an innocent bystander on a YouTube panel. And if somebody comes up with the plan, nothing's gonna stop it. And I think that's what we want to talk about tonight, are some of the techniques that people will use to achieve their agenda and their plan.
Yeah, I'm already looking at this chat.
Oh, yeah, let's say hi to the chat real quick. When they say hi, first of all, Mindful Exposure, she says, "I'm secretly watching from Keysenology class." Girl, hope you're paying attention. We got Tommy, who is calling us Spice down there. Welcome. Tommy, thank you, Gigi, for helping us out with that. Tommy, if ever you're ready to hit the panel, let me know, and the link will be dropped for Tommy and Tommy only. It said Gigi says she's gonna be back and forth. It's me, DJM stuff tonight, and Larry. Okay, belly is aching because he wants to come over, and I said no. Trigger word. Oh
yeah, that's one of the biggest trigger words is no.
It really is. It really is. Yolanda came in. Hello, Austin Murphy. How are you doing today? The white feather mohawk. What up, Goblin? Good to see you. Praise be, brother. Praise God, the Father of the sisters and brothers. Wow, I wonder who that is. Holy brother. Good to see you, holy brother, if you're who I think you are. Anytime you want to pop up, let me know. Push it to the limit for sure, Goblin. And that's what people do. People will figure out your triggers and they will push it to the limit. So we're going to talk about ways to handle that tonight.
Sorry, I am just so impressed with some of these different sock accounts, man. They're so good with these names and the character.
I like them. Tommy says, I've stopped a few plans. I'm not trying to play a fucking game. I know you're not, Tommy. I know you're not. The Mandela effect destroys Christianity. Oh my goodness. How many times do you think the Bible will keep being Mandela affected? That's a great question. And we will talk about that sometime, but not tonight. Margot, how are you doing? You did well today. Y'all made some serious progress. Tony Goes Ham is in the house. Good to see you, Tony. All right. Before I show this montage, do you have anything to say about trigger words or what's been your experience with them on this panel verse?
I mean, my experience has been to not get triggered by the words.
Oh.
Like I've been called so many different things, and the word lingo and the words, the lingo, and just being aware that they are intentionally trying to trigger me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fun of it.
What up, chica? We're talking about trigger words. Well, I came on here and I gotta tell you, a lot of people seemed angry and aggressive, and I would definitely respond and defend my name. I'm gonna defend my name, and I quickly learned, this is a game. So I had to learn how to play the game. So I've created a little montage. Ezra, you came right on time. I'm so sorry that you're catching stray shots, but I've made a montage, and I just want to share with y'all a little bit about my experience here on the Panelverse.
I got this neighbor girl who's playing with my feelings. I mean, she's a round meatball Mexican girl. Makes Cynthia look like a fitness model.
Give me the keys, Daddy. I need the keys and I'll fix this broadcast.
This bitch fucked up, people. Let's raise some drama here. Drummer!
Cynthia, you're like a crazy person. Nobody wants you here. You're just desperate for content. You're just a panel hopper. Get out of here.
She knows she's involved with the pedo pogo optics because she's hanging out with pedophile supporting fucktards. Fuck you, Cynthia, too. Mindful, Ezra the jabbed. The optics are high.
Fuck you, Cynthia. Fuck you. Fucking cunt. I hate that bitch.
I didn't ask you. Shut up, faggot. Fucking fag.
Fuck you.
Wait, what are you talking
about? Jealous cunt. Jealous cunt.
Here. No one cares. Go make a video about it like Fat Cynthia.
It's as much a culture as the N-bomb tower. Can I get a nigger tower to commemorate that porn bomber? Can we get a nigger tower? Nigger. And I want to do it a new way. Only one letter per person. I need each letter of the nigger tower to be a different person. So carefully time when you're gonna step in.
You're fucking done.
Don't shoot, Tommy. Don't shoot. I don't have a weapon. Don't shoot. Brown lives matter.
I like the one where he says spick and nigger through the whole movie.
Yes. What was that, Ford fucking nigger Torino? Hell yeah.
Yeah, Torino.
That was a good movie too.
That's a great movie. Get off my lawn, niggers.
I saw that when I was in rehab.
The fact and the truth, yo, is Ezra is a Cynthia the 2 jabbed one.
Shit, you look like a meth addict. Fuck you. You're a bitch.
Sponsor a cunt like Cynthia.
I'm trying to suck my dick. If I want to suck my dick, I don't want you here. If I want to suck my dick, I don't need you here. Am I missing something?
Metaversally. See how unaware you are? You don't know where you are. You don't know what you're doing.
What about Joseph?
Because I'm cute.
I'll give you
You're
my
a
address.
cunt.
You're a cunt. You're just a jealous ass bitch. Eat a dick, though.
What are you trying to psy off the porn bombers? What are you trying to psy off the porn bombers? They're just miscreant dudes to little internet games. That's all it is. Listen, my show is fucking fire. My show is just how I want it, and you don't got to be worrying your little small hat head over it. Now shut the fuck up and let me do my fucking job.
You know, here's the biggest deal. I mean, Cynthia, nobody likes that bitch.
Do tomorrow night at 9.
I'm on to you, sneaky snake. Cynthia, if you have the time to still be in the chat, we would have been done by now. You're broken fucking hoe. You're a liar. And I don't like you running around here saying that you're a Christian, and I'm sick of it.
And see how you fit into these conversations.
Oh my gosh.
That's so great.
Oh my
gosh. Hilarious to watch. There were a lot of things that were coming at me, and again, or at people. There were a lot of hot topics that Tommy. Oh my god. That Tommy touched on. And so I wanted to kind of talk about that tonight and just show how people will use these words to trigger you for whatever reason. They can be used to shape a conversation. And as you and I talk about a lot, we want to be able to have conversations and learn how to use our words correctly.
Well, you know how they say that there are gatekeepers of information? There are definitely word keepers on here. And also we've got a word wizard, but it looks like we've also got a word goblin. Just saying.
A word goblin. I definitely like that. Tommy says, see, Flotate, you ain't special. Katie coming in, she's saying, I think even the best people at being able to sidestep trigger words can get triggered on the right day at the right time. And that's so true, Katie. That's so true. And so it happens. It's gonna happen. If it happens to you, it's not the first time and it's not the last time, and you're gonna survive it. But you have to know, like Yolanda's always talking about, of how to set the boundaries, especially because it does affect our emotions and it affects our mental health, even if it's meant to be funny, that some people think. But yeah, if somebody's having a rough day, it can set them off. Ezra says, gotta go put my head back in, but will pop again if I can. Thank you. I was coming at myself. The self-love syndicate says that.
I just want to tap in really quick on the boundary thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this is something that I've learned on here when you were asking me earlier what my experiences are. Like, if you can't handle dealing with the words, because it might trigger stress or anxiety, and then like maybe even depression from whatever you experienced on here, then that's when you need to step away from it and take a break.
Absolutely. And these trigger words are something that have been used in media, in political campaigns. Like, I think of the Sarah McLachlan SPCA commercial where they show dogs, I will remember you, and the dogs are like in the cages looking with one eye. I'm crying. I don't even let my dogs watch that commercial because I don't want them to know that exists for dogs. Oh, speaking of,
mine will probably do the same thing at some point.
Gigi says that stress negatively affects our health 100%. Absolutely. And it also can bring anxiety, which is unfortunate. It can cause a trauma recall. It can change our mood, and it can change our wrong song. No, that was I Will Remember You. It was, what song was it? Sorry.
In the Arms of an Angel, I think is
Oh, my bad. See, my bad. But these things are really important, and it's important to recognize that.
Yeah, I want to tap in on that really quick, because when we're talking about how it affects the mind, how it affects the mind is that it releases a stress hormone, and the neurotransmitters they get heightened with the stress and the anxiety levels.
Is it the word itself that triggers people? Is it the memory recall, the trauma recall, the insecurity that perhaps somebody's touching on? And is that what needs to be addressed?
No, well, I think it's a little bit of both. But I did, when I was researching the topic and looking at different studies that they did on this, it does start with the word. Absolutely. They had different groups of people, and they would use the different words to them, and they did have a negative response to the words that they were studying with. It was a real thing.
Now, did you know this before you stepped onto the panel? Did you already know what your triggers were, and did you already know how to handle it, or was this something you learned trial and error from
Damn, trial and error 100%, because when you think something isn't going to trigger you, it sure in hell does, because some of these performers on here are way better than others. And they will pull it out of you unexpectedly. But the more you do it, the more you stay grounded in your own conviction, then game on.
Yeah. I think for me, anytime I was triggered and had the crash out, it was always the after effect I didn't like. I didn't like the way I presented myself in the situation. Always hindsight's always 50-50. And so I realized that I had to deal with the way I react to these things. One thing that I noticed is sometimes, a lot of times when people are saying these things to me, because like in that montage, people were talking about I was crazy, I was desperate for content, I was hated, I wasn't wanted here, I'm fat. Of course, they dressed the N-word and the word spick. They condemned me for a health decision I made. And of course, my faith people do not have it. Everybody wants to attack faith. And so this was a lot of things coming at me. So I had to realize that some of that was really them talking to themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because your words become the house that you live in. The way we speak, it has a huge impact on our ability to succeed and be happy in life. And a lot of people aren't even aware of it. So they don't even deliberately choose the words they use every day. So that's always something to remember.
Absolutely. Lady KT says it felt morally wrong for you, Cynthia. Absolutely. It just was a bad feeling. It felt bad the next day. Even though I was heated in the moment, it always felt bad for me the next day. But at some point, I started realizing that I wouldn't have known this if I wasn't triggered by that. So sometimes when I think of Tommy or other people as Tommy, who deliberately, Joe Cool's another one who will deliberately find that and just to keep tapping on it. Now, whether they're doing it for their own malicious reasons or whether they just want to see how far they can go, whatever the reason may be, if used properly and looked at from the right angle, you can see that those moments of freakouts or whatever can be beneficial to learn from.
Yeah, earlier I did a mishap. I said word lingo. What I meant to say is word judo. I think that there are masters of
I like
of
that
words
word.
on here, and it's like a word judo. And even earlier when Gigi said that she used a trigger word and said no, when I was looking through this research, it says that in one of the experiments, they found that seeing the word no for just 1 second stimulated the release of cortisol, the stress hormone. So
Really?
that's an example of how just looking at a word or listening to the word, how it can change.
Joe rocked that NPC things he should have had decided, but he wrecked it. That Tommy, that's how come I wanted you to come up and talk about that. But if you're busy, I get it. Just for definition, I looked up the word trigger words, and it said trigger words or phrases to invoke a strong emotional response, often promoting a person to take action, recall a memory or emotion. Frequently used in marketing, sales, and other forms of communication to influence behavior or connect with the audience. So when you said word judo, I like that because people will definitely try to get you to recall a memory. They'll try to get you to get emotional. That just ever how they want to puppeteer you. That they will use words. So it's important to know your ledge, like the song, know the ledge. It's important to know what gets you triggered and what are you going to do about it and what are some ways that you can do to correct it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the examples that I wrote down and some of the catchphrases that how it can change things for you. And let's see here. When we say things like, I can't learn to speak English or I don't know how to lose weight, these are phrases that they demotivate us. So it's important how we speak to ourselves as well. So when we're talking about triggering, we have to remember how we also talk to ourselves and how we have to have a stronger armor and awareness of the word. So if you don't understand the word, look up the definition. And if it doesn't apply, then don't let it bother you.
Yeah, absolutely. If it doesn't apply, let it fly.
Yes, ma'am.
I had to learn to not react off of emotion. I think for me in this journey, that is probably one thing that has been the hardest to overcome is because some of these word judoers, is that what we would call them? These
word judo masters.
Yeah, the word judo masters. Yeah. Some of those guys can definitely provoke it. And I question if they're doing it for nefarious reasons. So I've learned how to pause before I speak. And that was really hard learning to sit in silence, especially when you're on a panel.
Well, and then also recognizing that that's the whole point. They want you to be emotional. It's okay to be emotional. That's what makes it entertaining. But if the emotion, you have to be able to balance how the emotion and yourself becomes the performance and balancing it out. And don't give some of those people that type of emotion that they're looking for because it just feeds it. So you can pick and choose. You're the master of your own word judo.
I like the way you said that. It's okay to be emotional, especially in a place where people kind of want to guard themselves. And have we wanted to guard ourselves so much that we're like people aren't seeing all of us? Because when you become emotional, it's like content for like the next ever how long.
Absolutely. That was something that I was always accused of in the very beginning. And I say always, because it was always, I would jump on there and they would start talking about, oh, here comes the emotional feminist or the toxic feminine person. And I'm like, what in the holy hell are they even talking about? And then they triggered me. So I get it.
Sit in one's gut brain when in inner silence. Man, sitting with our own minds, how many people can really do that? How many people can sit in silence with their own thoughts?
I practice that a lot in my life, so I understand what he's saying. There's a time for entertainment and fun, and then I need to go within my inner self and listen to what the thoughts are, and then to quiet those thoughts until I don't hear anything. It is a mastery.
Also look at what emotion what emotion am I feeling? Am I angry at this? Do I feel embarrassed by this? Is this true? Is this something I'm embarrassed by? Like, I think that's also is it important is to understand what emotion is being provoked in you.
Yeah, and questioning why you responded that way.
Right. And it's okay. Sometimes people just have a bad day. My dog just ran off with my house shoe. It's okay. There's some people just have bad days, and you just caught them at the right Lady KT said earlier, sometimes it's just the right time of day and you can catch it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to use an example. My 90-year-old grandfather, he's what you would call a sourpuss or a stick in the mud. And the last conversation that I had with him was him reminding me, you shouldn't give a shit what anybody has to say about you. It doesn't matter. I don't care. He would tell me that all the time. I don't care. And he really means it. And he doesn't get stressed out about what the rest of the family has to say.
Yeah.
He holds his own.
For sure. That is something I think comes with age and with experience in life. But it is true, so very true. Simple, but so very, very true.
Sorry, go ahead.
Dominic says one should challenge one's own emotions, not allow others to challenge them to develop them. Ooh, yeah. That's interesting.
That's a good reminder. Thank you. That's very wise, Dom.
How would one challenge their own emotions?
Well, I mean, you and I have had this conversation about the different times in our lives, what we've had to learn how to control our emotions in professional settings or social settings. And as you get older, you learn how to control it more.
Yeah. See,
Tommy's asking for the link already, by the way.
Is he? Oh. Well, let me stop everything I'm doing. Mr. President is asking for the link. In case you didn't know, Tommy is the panel president. Chuck says, my mind is like a bad neighbor. You don't want to go there alone.
That's funny. I like that.
Right. The brain and the mind are different. Indeed. Ponder. Ponder. The brain and the mind are different. Illuma Tommy is in the building. Hello, sir.
Isn't that flat? Bait as fuck.
Why? How are you doing?
I'm fine. I just wanted to sum up the last 30 minutes as every adult is responsible for their own feelers. And I'm out here in a concrete jungle where, regardless of offense, these niggas acting like niggas is a card that lets them do anything to a person that says niggas. And I don't think that's legit.
So that happens to be one of the most words that is triggered, that triggers emotions in a lot of people. It will trigger white people.
Because society has built it to that level. Because all races are together in this, only they can say it, and they can even call white people that because history that was embellished and modified. Yeah, man, it's like I don't go out pointing at black people dropping N-bombs, but I can't be told that it just wrecks them to hear it. I think it's more of a power card they want to use if they catch you saying it.
I agree with you, Tommy, because I've had that issue in my life because that word to me is also a cultural thing. So in the hood, it doesn't matter if what your ethnicity is. People use it almost like as a term of endearment to one another, except when it's convenient for certain other ethnicities to say that you're
As
not
long
allowed to
as you're
use
not
it.
Caucasian, yeah. Like they let Mexicans slide. Even those the conservative twins have even admitted they're not officially African American. They're like some kind of India descent. But no one's gonna stop them dudes from dropping N bombs. You'll just assume they're black. Yeah, man, it's just it's like for how we all point at everything, go psyop, psyop, psyop. Whether it's self-created by society or initiated, I feel like it's psyop. And
I
that's
agree
why
with
I
you.
flood the market with it. Yeah,
I know why you
I'll
do
always
it.
cite Rob Cleveland. Rob Cleveland, first black person out online at least, to be like, Tom, I get it. It doesn't bother me anymore to hear white people saying it because you just wore it out.
Well, interesting. I've been on a panel with you and where you were saying the word and somebody became upset with me because how could I sit on a panel with somebody that was using that word?
I know. Don't they know you're a spick?
Right. But I was like, well,
hold up.
Spick ass nigga.
Actually, she's not a spick.
Oh yeah.
Nah,
Because
she's a
she
coconut.
speaks English. So spicks were the ones
Right.
that couldn't speak English. So Cynthia's technically not a spick.
And since you can't speak Spanish, that's why the spicks would call her a coconut.
That's
You're such an asshole.
It's true though. But people became upset with me because I affiliated with somebody who used the word so freely like that. And I found myself in a peculiar situation because I was like, hey, who are you to tell me where to, like what? And number two, if I'm not actively saying that, why do you have a problem with me and not the person saying it? So I like how you brought it back to it's a power card sometimes used.
Now I still get the direction they were headed in because I was taking it up with Jack tonight, like many times. He'll let people go in on me and then backstage me on my turn and just let them proceed to go in on me. And I don't appreciate that. That's why I've made the pop. That's why I'm your Panavor's president. But
you are the
and one thing I think is cool. I like when Joe Cool starts calling me a racist nigger for saying nigger. It's like the layers. It cracks me up.
Yeah, that would be a great person to come up and have this conversation about because that's always really confusing.
I would credit him for he rocked that NPC stream, and the only way he went wrong is eventually they wore him down, and he like just kind of seceded. Like, okay, I'll lighten up on Jack. I was like, no, you are right. Like, lean into it against all of them, because NPC was just catering to him, cucking and like coddling Jack. And I like how that girl that didn't know Jack was accidentally like just nailing him with the like. She's like, well, what things have you been a part of? Have you started any organizations or anything? And Jack's just like silently getting the angry brow. Yeah, Joe was the dominant one in that.
Well, see, that lady KT, she brings us up. Just name calling all around is low, and in my opinion, an immature form of manipulation or a lack of self-control. And I was thinking
It's definitely manipulation. It's definitely manipulation, but what you're gonna see consistently throughout this stream is the difference between men and women. Because you guys just keep reminding me of the Dave Chappelle thing where she's like, well, you have to understand, I was on my period, and blah, blah, blah. And then when the guy tells the story, he's like, I went down to the liquor store, I saw the nigger Bob said some shit, I punched that nigger, I broke out. And it's like, just straightforward. Like, we do get emotional, but we don't let it extravagantly overpower us.
Well, I come from
But
a
I do agree with Dominic.
Sorry, go ahead.
I agree with Dominic that we should test each other. That's why when my dog died, I jumped right back into this shit. And I knew people were going to talk shit, but it surprised me who specifically talked shit.
Well, I wanted to say really quick though too, like in my family, we drag each other's asses every single time we see one another. So you can say that it is a low blow, but it's also kind of a term of endearment when you can drag somebody and laugh about it and walk away from it like it's no big deal. You have to know the difference.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. Like when I go in on Esra, she knows I'm just like sometimes DJM and Esra really are pissing me the fuck off. But when I'm just constantly like flipping everything they say, they know I'm just fucking with them, and they're good sports about it. It is like that endearing burn. Your sister
In
says
Spanish,
hi.
we call them cariños. There's terms of endearment.
They call me Diablo Blanco.
Well, you kind of are. That's accurate.
Oh.
See, this guy is insane. Is he oblivious to his name calling and ad hominem?
Well, it says, as Tommy consistently goes to name calling and ad hominem character attacks because he has no real foundation or the support for his position. If he did, he would not resort to the ad hominem character attacks.
Well, I've been called some of those ad homs by El Perro in the past, just saying.
Right. And I even made El Perro a wrestler when he was telling Cynthia that if he saw her on the street, he'd drive his foot so far up his ass, something, whatever the out your mouth thing is, brushing her teeth with his foot or something. Like, that dude has admitted to his anger issues and displayed it, but he's totally wrong. Like, I do nothing but stand on positions out here, and the reason he don't come up on panels except where he'll get protected, like on Jack, is because he knows I've had him on so many. And he needs to go watch just tonight's Pop, where I took his protective daddy and worked him over real good in the name of truth. And not to belittle Jack, because me and Jack are still cool. Hey, El Perro, I wrecked Jack so hard tonight, he cashed at me $10. Said, thank you, Daddy.
Oh.
And thank you.
Fools and Tools says, all are displaying trauma. It's how you handle your emotions. You're in your female energy, male energy. Girls tend to want to play mother hen. Boys act out hyperactive or go introvert, trauma act. Ooh.
And there is sometimes I think we should show emotion, because if you really, like, if your mom's dead and somebody's talking like not just regular mom jokes, if somebody's honestly disparaging your mother and you loved and respected your mother, I think it's like it shows that to get a little emotional about it. Not like in the broken down, like, oh, you're a mess, but to get like, hey, fuck you, motherfucker. You want to come say that shit about my mother in my face? Like, I think that adds to the value you see in the thing sometimes. But it's all relative to the situation. Like when Jack shows no emotion about things that he claims are important, it's like he's devaluing the side that's proposing to him. And it's like, well, you're showing how important the other side is to your consideration. Whenever it's like you give him a whole good point, and he goes, so you say. I'm like, well, even if we're right, show a little what you really think instead of just deflection.
Do you think that having these conversations and just being aggressive, using trigger words so people can strengthen them or whatever, is this taking away dulling empathy, and is that a danger?
Taking away what?
Empathy.
Hold on, I'm walking around.
That's okay.
That's a really good question. I'm curious how he's going to respond to it.
Yeah, say the sentence again, or the question.
Having these conversations and using trigger words and making people resilient towards these things, are we
dude, it cuts out at the same. Hold on. I'm standing still and I have full bars and the same words are like glitching out every time. Yolanda, try and repeat her sentence for me.
Well, she's just asking you, does this potentially make it so that this behavior makes it so that people lack even showing any type of empathy towards one another?
I don't think it removes the empathy. I think it can be seen as encouraging these hostile things. But like I said, overall, my goal is to, number one, saturate and thin out the weight, but also show the black community that they are, in essence, tyrannizing on behalf of the claimed history. They're trying to say, oh, now cracker ass can't do what we say, and we'll tyrannize your words, and that contradicts the equality freedom thing. And honestly, I've often told black people the real reason white people aren't really affected by racism is because we don't look at us as a team. And I know good black YouTubers that they'll point out like a person in the news and be like, man, black people fucking up. I'm like, that's not you. That's an individual fucking up. And just because you're black, you should not feel the guilt if you're living right and being a stand-up citizen. Don't let some other black person fucking up be like, man, we fucking up out here, y'all. Like, stop trying to team, because when we look at the news, you're obviously not a team. Like,
Damn,
the
I've
most
never looked at
dangerous-
it like that before.
Right?
Most dangerous thing to black youth on the streets is other black youth.
Because I know as Latinos we do that. So that's interesting.
And I think they do that better, because I do live around a lot of Mexicans in Denver, and it's like I'm watching a lot of them come here for the American dream, and I'm like, it's an honor to watch all this burn down with you. And then the black community, it's like, your forefathers suffered slavery to get you this free green card, and you just defy it, and you're disgusted, and you hate it, and you go against it. And these people are still trying to get in just to work 40 hours a week. Damn, Cynthia, I'm giving you the platinum tonight. You owe me after this one.
Okay, for shit show. Katie is saying 33, I find you very intelligent and love you in these brief moments. I love hearing your knowledge. It always seems 33 when you're about to say something that makes a good point, someone will purposely throw you off. Is that a game being played? Do people do that too?
I mean, Cynthia, you got here about the time of Civil War. I've always had the residual unslaved battle following me. Like, there's people that don't know who Paul Enslaved is, that they don't know where they got the residual things from that they're still saying. Just because it's like, oh, the channel I like says this about him, so I'll say it too. And it don't bother me. It's the same way I'm throwing the N-bombs out to the black community to get over. I have to get over what I've co-created for myself out here. I can work with all of it.
Nice. Hey,
I do appreciate, I feel like I have broken through finally to where I will get heard out and considered without all the reputation precedes you shit.
I agree, and that's how come it's important to have these meaningful conversations. What was bringing me into my next question was, is social media panels, are we losing the art of conversation? Because conversation is an art.
I think I'd say it's just evolving, because there is the aspect that, like, because we're looking into a portal, sometimes people do forget that's a human or that's a real issue. It's like I used to tell Paul, don't call Hank retarded, he's autistic, until I went to Paul recently. Paul, I was wrong. Hank is fucking retarded. I take it back. But yeah, I think I think it's an evolution, because I appreciate as a Sigma introvert, I like that I can participate with like tens of whatever people, and at any moment it's just like you turn it off and you don't even have to like drive away from a building or anything. It's like you can be social and still be in your spot. I do like that.
Sigma introvert. Wow, that's the first time I've heard that. That
It usually goes hand in hand with me. I think it goes hand in hand usually. And then I've heard a new term. I'm also considered in some circles a Hioka empath. Hioka is in the Native American Hiokas.
Okay. I don't know if I agree with you. I think the art of conversation is dying. I think people just are talking to talk. I'm not sure if people are listening to open up their minds to be willing to accept new thoughts. I don't know. I think social media might be hurting it more than.
I get what you're saying. I think that comes with the saturation of social media. Like, to go along with what I said I liked about it, that means you can easily come across hundreds of people in a day. And yeah, they're not all going to be fucking scholastic, bookworm, insightful people. You're also going to come across the Springer type.
That is something I really had to learn to not, because sometimes people have very slow, different ways of talking, and I was automatically judging them on the way they spoke or speak or whatever. And I realized that I was that was being so judgmental, but B, I was limiting really engaging with people and being able to have good conversations with them. So I had to stop even thinking about that and just focus on what they are saying.
And also, it keeps you more appreciative of when it does happen. If you could just log on anytime and definitely get some insightful, productive conversation, you'll start to devalue it. It'll be like fleshlights have dudes ignoring y'all.
Lady KC says, I don't think so. The panels are diverse. It just depends on why you are in / watching the panelverse. And I agree. You know, some panels are diverse, very much so. Which ones are you putting your time and energy into? So we had invited Tommy, but it's almost an hour, and so the panel is open. I have already put the link down in my chat. If you want to come up and just talk about your experience with trigger words, what words trigger you, Tommy? Because I think I heard you say something today when you were working with Jack, and that you were really triggered by something. What triggers you, Tommy?
I'm not triggered by specific words. I'm triggered by the what's my word? The principle of things. Like Pero can say whatever he wants. Anybody can come at me with whatever they want. But when Jack has the nerve to just drop me half sentence for whatever his Jack reason is, and it's like I don't get to reply as him and other people just continue to speak for me, that's what pisses me off.
Yeah,
that's why I created
the control. It's a big time manipulative control maneuver.
Yep.
And it potentially is obnoxious. But I mean, sometimes, you know, if the conversation isn't going back and forth and people are just talking at each other, then I can see why sometimes you have to drop a panelist down just to
Right, but if you watch how I operated the pop, I kept everyone informed of my logic and reasoning, and I remind everybody you will get your chance. But I think Jack is on the level of he knows what he's doing, because his excuse is I can't control what people say, and I'm like, yeah, but you can cut out my tongue and keep me from getting mine in, and he loves that whether he knows it or not. He got it from his daddy.
Fools and Tools says the majority of panels are not focused on having a conversation. Absolutely. Which reminds me, did y'all hit the like button? We jumped into a conversation. I want to remind y'all to hit the like button. Fools
I
and
don't
Tools.
like anything.
Okay, I know. Thank you. Hey, you're
No,
present.
that's a good one I can give you as a fellow host / creator. I've recognized that when I check my like numbers, I now know what my max is, and it's like there's people. I even took a poll one time, like, do you even ever click on things? And a lot of people were like, no, I never click anything. So I don't really go by the likes very much unless I can tell it's showing me a thing.
I definitely try to keep up with percentages. What's my percentage like? And my goal is for now at 10%. I want at least 10% of likes compared to my views. That's the way I definitely look at those.
And I think in a technical sense, it's more about if your shit keeps getting suggested and viral, the likes will help with that. But in a long-term sense, I don't think it's as much of a deal.
What about you, Yolanda?
Another train of gooses.
Oh,
Everywhere. Some of them got babies. Well, I stop and watch the ones that have babies with them.
Aww.
Dad, you always walking around everywhere. Do you have a car, or you just walk around everywhere?
Never mind. I am still in my roofless season. I've traveled all winter, and I'm still roofless in Denver on purpose.
That was
all right. Want to see my cool Mad Max garb so the street people know not to fuck with me?
Yeah, hang on.
I can't get my camera changed.
Okay, I got you solo layout. Go. Oh.
Hold on. These gloves are funky. Just give me a minute. Save it for whenever I get it fixed.
Oh, okay. Hang on. How do I put his back? Oh, no. Okay. I got his back. Oh, okay. Hang on.
I need to get to Gastown and Bullet Farm before nightfall. So I can do some side quests. I got this for free. Got this for free, and I got one for random fan size too.
You remind me of what's that vampire movie from the 80s, Cynthia?
Lost Boys.
He looks like a damn Lost Boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck yeah, Lost Boys. And fuck New Jersey, but yeah, fuck yeah, Lost Boys. Maggots, Mike. You're reading maggots.
Awesome soundtrack. Why does El Perro hate free speech so much? I don't think he does.
I think he hates, like, he used to call himself Word Wizard, and he's not great with lay words. Like, it would benefit him. He needs to, Machine Lies, and a lot of these guys, they need to recognize they very much know where they're safe to do their thing. El Perro used to come suck me off. Remember whenever I was showing everybody that Josh truly was a minor? El Perro sat in for that panel, sucked me off for my background and my graphics I was getting into, and I never know why these people flip on me. I mean, if they were stand-up, they'd tell me, but if they don't tell me, I don't care.
Damn, that takes me back, Tommy, to the whole Josh thing. That was a nightmare of an experience, but an awareness that is necessary of the bullshit that happens here on this internet. I remember that.
Oh,
I just get as much information out of it as I can. Like, it showed me, like, even in that situation, El Perro gave him too many years credit to his age. And I was just going strictly off of my art class training of, if you draw a child, these are the proportions. And then as they mature and adult, the proportions turn into this. And also that he'd roll and giggle on, like, Superman sheets. Like, some of these guys out here are fucking retarded.
For sure. Katie, I'm going to send you something later, girl. I know this vampire I need to turn you on to. Miss Margot says El Perro is not a smart man. Wow.
No.
When did he become the target of that? Men that are bad with women really shouldn't talk about them either. Whoa. Are they talking to you, Tommy?
No, my pushback and rejection of the estrogen people are why I'm currently carrying the most female panels. Like, for some reason, they all come camp up on my panel.
Yes,
shout to Margo. Shout to you. Shout to everybody.
Yes, we do. It says people. Fools and Tools says people don't want to talk anymore. They're other talk to computers. I have a sympathetic fake life, plastic, fantastic. Here we come.
I agree that it's starting to get harder and harder to recognize if you're talking to an AI or not. But I still have little, like on Snapchat and some things, I still have these little moments where I'm like, gotcha. You're a bot. You're a bot. It's still cleaning up though. Like, some of the videos on YouTube are starting to get impressive.
I think it's just proven, for me anyway, how much I've learned how to use StreamYard and be on these panels and listening in on YouTube, how much this AI stuff has been around for such a long time to begin with, and we just didn't even fucking realize it. It doesn't matter if it's art, music, or a person. Like, this is actually revealed to me how much the technology has been part of entertainment.
Well, we have been fucking with it, but now it is getting challenging. to discern on. Like, some of the videos are obvious if you're looking at the details, but I have come across a few where it took the comments to remind, oh shit, that one almost got me, until I read the comments and they point out the thing. And my favorite comment on any of those is somebody going, "Stop this shit, my grandmama will believe it."
Later, Dominic, thank you for coming by. I saw the comments you dropped earlier. I meant to read them off, but they had already disappeared by the time we started the stream. But I always appreciate your insight, and thank you so much for stopping by. Margot says, I'm just stating the fact. He attempts to come across knowledgeable and wise. Nope.
And go ahead.
Well, there's
the video that I'll always remember, the iconic "Stop It, my grandmama will believe this shit." It was a video that it portrayed giants helping people build the pyramids. Stop it, my grandmama will believe this shit.
But they've been doing that to us for a long time. That's my point. Like, we really don't know how long.
Yeah, it hasn't been that long, because it started out crap, and it's like, man, remember the creepy Will Smith eating spaghetti? Like, that was outright nightmare fuel. But now, like, there's stuff like the dude skydiving with the cat strapped to his chest. I knew a cat would never do that, but the way it looked, I was like, man, they're getting there. It's getting there fast. And they said that as it develops, you'll need AI in court to discern if a video of evidence is AI or not.
Huh. Tell me, how long have you been going live on social media? Not necessarily just YouTube, but social media.
I've been in this game since the 4chan MySpace days.
Wow.
Now, as far as going live, not till YouTube. It wasn't until I saw Paul's channel that I even knew. I was like, damn, YouTube's taking Zoom calls now? And that's why you're going to have so much garbage, because people still, the majority of the public doesn't know. Niggas with cell phones can just come on here and host a bunch of people. And that's why when I left y'all while I went in 7-Eleven and the chick was watching my wagon, I came out, she's like, who are these people? She's like, I'm like, nah, it's just a Zoom call. Yeah, she's like, who are these people? It's like, I heard what that girl said. Who are these people?
Yeah.
And she was there too. Her old man was doing like 15 years for wrecking into some government car. So she wasn't no stranger to some bullshit. And she was looking at y'all like, what is this? What am I watching?
Oh. I'm not
like,
sure.
Oh, that's true. No, that's true. No, she's something else.
I don't know if I should be offended or flattered right now by that.
Always offended. Always assume offended, Cynthia.
What? No.
You should always assume
No
you
state
should be offended.
says never assume it the worst until you know it's the worst. And what you say is completely opposite of what he said.
Because Flow State is one of the most Dunning-Kruger motherfuckers out here. And whenever I watched him, like, hey, I'm a bit of a psychology, like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. You're a fucking narcissist, Flow State. You just haven't earned me to put that time in yet. But I'll hit you anytime you want. And if I see you in life, because of that $1 you sent me to refresh it, I will guarantee I'll take them kneecaps. I'll do that time. You want it. You want it, Steve.
Are you trying to trigger him with these words right now?
He is. But that's the thing. That's what I always want to ask him. As he goes panel to panel, doing his marketing thing, what does he accept? Like, what does he think is a win if he goes to each individual person like, oh, that's the thing that makes him mad, I'll just say that. And it's like, okay. And then you wonder how you have your hate reels. It's like, if he thinks he's cute with his Flow State hate reels, I'll make a cut of how he got there. And that won't be as flattering, won't be as funny to watch him go around and see how he got to all that hate. Paul's his boyfriend.
So I feel like you're throwing some trigger words out here and some trigger phrases. Am I correct?
Actually, that was just truth. I don't think I said any racist or cuss words. That was just the truth of Flow State. He can go to hell and die.
Those super chats look, they remind me of like metaversal slap ass.
What?
There is that aspect too. Like if you watch Jack, where it's like, oh, Hank spent $2, so Hank gets to say his autistic niggerdom, which is really irrelevant, but he spent $2.
Mm. Oh my gosh, are you still there, Yolanda?
I'm here.
Am I?
Tommy, are you?
Yeah.
You Tommy.
Yeah, I hit a button. But yeah, I was just saying, like, it's like I kind of agree that as a host, if you get a super chat, you should share it just for the money. But I think Jack thinks he should nod, even though he nods and agrees with everything almost. I'll acknowledge my super chats, but if you're super chatting some bullshit, I'll let you know. And then if you super chat on enough bullshit, I'll refund it and ban your ass.
Huh.
Because I did watch Paul and Slave back in the day spend $2 on the Thorpes just to hate on Flow State and then say, hey, if you're tired of incest, come watch Paul and Slave. If he tries that $2 shit on my channel, I just ban him so it gets refunded. I don't need his fucking money.
Well, then, see, Tommy, you need to clip that metaversal slap ass, slap ass, slap ass.
Oh, I did. It happened in Vegas. I got it clipped. And even the Flow State one in Thorpe's one back in the day, I got screenshots of it. I threw it into something I made sometime back when I was dumping videos out.
Alex, that's hella funny. We need to start making that a hashtag.
What did it say?
That's clever.
Tommy, whenever you're saying the N-word and somebody's really offended by it, or you just really push their triggers, do you stop, or do you just like, no, you're gonna get over this today? I'm gonna learn you.
It's up to the context, and it's very rare that I actually offend someone. The biggest crybaby about it out here, who has been told and briefed and is still crying, is Nigger PC. He's still mad. Call me a bigot and shit. I'm like, dude, you've been debriefed on and offline, and when you call me a racist bigot, yeah, it makes you a liar, and it shows how triggered you are, and that's exactly the point he doesn't get. It's like, nobody cares, NPC. Nobody cares that you're black. Nobody cares that you went to overseas to Taiwan to marry some bitch. Nobody cares that you're making them Taiwanese kids stupider as a teacher. But I'll work with it all. I'll show it as they do it.
He's just reeling out all that trigger.
He dropped a super chat on Jax yesterday to say this is why black people don't come around. They feel awkward around these bigots. And I immediately went up. I said, Jack, did you know he was in my backstage last night until I ended the show? Like, he sat in my backstage and I ended the show because if he comes up, I want to give him that whole show because I know we'll go at it. And he's acting like he don't come around the next day after he sat in my backstage. That dude a front. He fake. He a fake ass nigga.
Do you
so
think
did you go? I missed out on this. Was this a panel that you all were on with each other that happened at NPCs, or is it you were in the chat, or can you guys give you a little bit of a background?
No, I definitely say the N-word on Jack's channel. I call him a cracker ass nigger all the time.
No, I'm talking about NPC.
Right. Before I answer that, I also wanted to follow up, still answer Cynthia's question. Actually, Cynthia, more often than not, I make friends with black people once they hear me out about why I'm dropping all these words. Once they hear me out, they usually are cool and make friends.
Okay. Go. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Yolanda?
Yeah, I'm just curious why it's that word. You know, what is it about that word that just sets everybody off? And they
like I said, when I came up, as a culture in America, we have created that because the woke and the what's the thing? The virtue signalers, the woke, they want to stand on it with them. They want to say, no, you can't say that. Only they can say that. I'm like, don't you think that's kind of funny that they say it like Smurfs say Smurf and it's not a problem? I think it's, like I said, I think it's overall more of a power play. Because I knew a YouTube rapper named Rocket whenever I lived at that ghetto place. And last I ever saw of him, and his old lady shot him in the foot and he got hauled off in an ambulance. But he told me, specifically told me, yeah, if a white dude says N-word, I get to knock him out. I get to punch him in his face if he says N-word. So he was just looking for that like a card.
Margot says, I thought you said you wouldn't say it in his panel and you asked him not to say our Lord's name in vain. Is that right, Tommy? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, I said that tonight, but I'm not going to say that I've disciplined to not say it at Jax if he pisses me off, or if I know he's going to kick me anyway, I'll probably say it. But Margot, you got to remember, there's layers to my specific opposition. Like Jax saying he knows that Bible, and this whole panel verse knows I caught myself saying GD all the time, and I stopped. I got myself to quit, and that's why we emphasize when somebody gets one out of me. I go, oh, motherfucker, you even got a GD out of me. Now I'm pissed, you know?
My older mixed friends always called me Little Niglet before he passed.
Yeah, and shout to Melanie Moore on her godchildren she claims are niglets.
Oh, wow. I remember, like, The Outsiders was, like, my favorite movie as a little young lady.
Fucking coconut ass, go on.
And that movie was about class. It was a class issue. So I grew up always, it was a class issue. The greasers, the Soshis. So
well, there are class issues. There are definitely class issues, because that's why you have rich black people that, like, to quote, you know, the little guy, Cat Williams, whenever he was watching the fight before he got shot, he's like, look at these crazy niggers, you know, and then he got like a stray bullet in the leg. And it's also why black cops are like, yeah, fuck these niggers, let's beat them. So there, it is like morphing into more of a class thing than a race thing.
It started off as a class thing in the 80s, and then somehow it did become a race thing later on. I think that was by design, because I think at the end of the
Also, if you get cut off in traffic, you can just look at the optics and know which word will specifically be compatible with you flipping the bird, throwing the proper racial slur because they cut you off in traffic. It's just, that is how it is, just trigger words. And it's up to you whether it triggers you or not.
Right. That's what I would like to hear, a panel with some black folk up here talking with Tommy and seeing how that would go back and forth, because that whole thing really, it's always confused the shit out of me, because culturally in the hood it's not like that. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is, but sometimes it does become an issue, and that's always been the confusing part to me. So I would love to hear that.
If you want to, so whenever I have Chev back, we could review the time that Paul was telling Soplaya and Big Lack and all these guys that I was over here being racist, and I went to their panel and said I heard you're all looking for me, and we can review that visit sometime.
But we could just get them back over here. I do remember that, and a lot of
I think the value is that it's our first encounter with each other over me saying the word. I think that's where the value is.
What'd you say?
I know you don't get it. I know you don't.
Yeah, repeat it again, because I was saying something, then I was trying to process what you said, so I forgot what I was about to say.
I mean, I haven't seen any of them in a while, but if they came over, we'd probably just sit here like, yeah, I'm that guy. That happened, the thing. But to watch the time that I rolled up, like, hey, I heard y'all are looking for me, and they brought me up, and we started from scratch with just Paul's first impression of me to go off of. It went remarkably well, and we talked about a lot of shit. But we do get into the... And Paul didn't even realize when he was trying to slander me to Soplaya, he didn't catch that Soplaya was like, and I like that shit. I appreciate when people are just upfront like that, and ain't all trying to like low-key it. And sure enough, after Soplaya left, Brian and Paul got into the racist shit. And it's like, that's exactly what Paul did to him.
A lot of my black friends don't have a problem with people saying the N-word who aren't black. However, on the internet, it can be used to be weaponized against you. So I just
we've covered that. But also, I think that's another layer of what I'm preparing black people for. Like, of course, they always say, oh, if in my hood, oh, if in front of me, you wouldn't say that. I'm like, look how much of your interaction is becoming more and more online. You think you're going to protect that word? I came from 4chan, bro. That word, And then on Facebook, once I saw a few white girls dropping nigga on Facebook, I said, oh, it's coming. We're all going to be saying it in another 2 or 3 years. I just saw white girls drop nigga with no pushback.
Well, it says
And
that
shout out to Christos, it was historically at Sir Drop the first time I went on Sir Drop and dropped the nigga on him. And it was endearing. It was endearing because we were talking about crypto, and one of them dropped ISO 2022. I was like, you niggas know ISO 2022? And Sir Drop shut the whole thing down. He was so fucked up over it. Shut it down, took it offline. It's crazy.
It says that in the 18th and 19th century, it described an actual labor category, which African American laborers adopted for themselves as a social identity. And thus the white people used a descriptor word as a distancing or derogatory epithet, as if quoting Black people and their non-standard language.
It's the same way that retarded was supposed to substitute buffoon and idiot, and then slang and kids grab onto retarded and make that the new derogatory thing. So that's just how our language evolves. But you are correct. And also that reminds me, NPC was also very triggered by Negro when King Stephen was dropping Negro on him. And even me being friends with NPC back then, I was like, wait. Are you offended by United Negro College Fund? Like, does that offend you, NPC? Like, that's when I started to realize, hey, I don't think you're on the level here if you're letting King Stephen get to you like this.
Well, again, this is where we go back to the whole concept of trying to trigger somebody. And what is it, your response to it? What is it bringing out of you that you are offended by the word?
And it's like...
Hey, Jalen. Hey, Jalen.
What's good, Jalen?
Jalen's Black.
Yeah, man. Tommy know me.
Hey.
I've been listening to him
right?
saying nigga all this whole like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah. This is
why y'all gotta tell me why y'all gotta tell me that Jalen's Black? What's that supposed to mean? Am I supposed to treat him a certain way? Why you gotta tell me?
No, I wasn't telling you.
I want to know why you like you teaching people, you know what I'm saying, by saying the N-word. Like, what do you think you teaching a Black person that doesn't know? What you teaching them that they don't know already?
What do you mean, Are you the one that was doing Big Baby something on So Player? Is that you?
No.
No,
do you
man.
Know
we talked on flows a long time ago, bro. It's all good. I mean, I ain't no bring confrontation to you. I'm asking you a question.
No, I'm not reading you. Your voice just sounds like that dude, and I've always been looking in for him because he cracks me up when he's like I like punching, taking down to my daddy's house, taking down to my daddy's house.
Nah,
this is perfect.
I do like punching though. Yeah.
This is what Yolanda wanted. She wanted this conversation to happen.
Yeah, I want to hear what it is about this word. I'm just curious why this word.
To answer him, I don't feel like I'm really teaching anything. I feel like I'm just doing that thing. Like, hey, is it old yet? Like, does it not trigger you? Because I'd like it to not trigger you. And I also don't want that card out there because we're all going to get caught saying a Chappelle line or singing with a song. And it's not that Black people don't realize that's what you're doing. Like, some of them just try and use it like, oh, I got you now. Now I can hold this on you.
No, I definitely get that part of it. You know what I'm saying? Black people do pick and choose when you know what I'm saying, allow somebody to say it and shit like that, which is why I don't give a fuck if people say it or not, honestly. I just know, given the context, you say it to me, it might be something. It might not be. It depends on how it's said. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I'm not tripping about a person singing a song and saying the N-word. I'm not tripping about even a person saying the N-word in any way, shape, or form. But like I say, it does invoke a certain emotion because of past trauma, like some of this shit. We gotta understand trauma goes down through generation. Some shit you don't have to have a lived experience of in order to feel the effects of it. So for some people,
and I've also seen Black people. I've also seen Black people on YouTube be very honest that it wasn't that they had trauma as much as like their grandmama or the granddaddy like taught them to like, hey, go in on this and don't let it slide, and you steal stuff if you want to get yours, and then they realized as adults, like, wait, no, my life goes smoother if I just realize it's not really like that. And I also, whenever I'm close friends with a black person, I'm like, we can't really be chill, laid back friends if I have to sit and worry about whether that comes out or not,
I mean, I would think that you would be more of a friend if you would just, you know what I'm saying, honestly wouldn't try to do anything to like fuck with a person, period. Like if I say something and you be like, hey man, it's not cool to me. If I fucks with you, I'm gonna be like, all right, you know what, you right, bro. I ain't gonna say that again. Even if I think it's stupid. Because we're
right.
friends.
And that is like a respect thing between two associates or friends. Yeah, that is true. And I
I
agree.
ain't saying that you should be dictating what a stranger says, and at the end of the day, I honestly think
right.
the more racist shit is policies that get put in effect that actually do shit to fuck with people or something, or the way people interpret law. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that.
Yeah.
But the N word, like I say, it's low hanging fruit. It's not really it's big of an issue. I think the issue is that it's the lack of respect in the cultural significance behind the shit, and how people always use, like, I had white friends like that I'd be cool with, like we never had no problem. I piss them off and the first thing they go is nigger, nigger, nigger. Like, what the fuck, bro? Like, did you feel like that the whole time, bro? Like, what's going on, man?
It's the same thing if you know a gay dude and he pisses you off, and I immediately start leaning to faggot too. So yeah, I get that.
So then that's what it is. It's about respect. It's when you're you're going over that boundary and you have a lack of respect for one another. That's what the real.
Think so, yeah. But I also think that, you know what I'm saying, like, there's some times where black people have went too far in certain instances and shit with the snow roaches and the whatever different, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I feel like that shit is so significant. I mean, not significant, but insignificant to the grander scheme of things, because nobody's really being oppressed by the snow roach shit. Well, it was people that was literally suppressed from being able to do all type of shit while being called a nigger. You know what I'm saying? No niggas allowed. This type of shit.
And
like
what I think the real racist psyop is the protection or pushback from that has escalated to now the left is telling black people, hey, you're black, so you're not going to make it without our vote. You need us in the White House in order to survive because you're black, and you won't survive without us. I think that's the most racist thing going on right now. And then they took all this progress we've had in like the black equality, and then the left is saying, let's attach the alphabet clan to them. And so if you're going to stand up for black rights, that's also the alphabet rights. And now some black people are like, wait, I'm a Christian family man. That's not what my black equality is about, is not these trannies, and that's how like the government's kind of psyoping us and fucking with us.
Yeah, I say that's one side of it. Yeah, I think both Democrats and Republicans definitely do some shit. You know what I'm saying? The Republicans are more cynical behind that shit. They don't necessarily do anything overt anymore because, of course, overt racism is frowned upon. Well, I guess, I don't know, people making millions off of calling kids the N-word.
At the same, yeah, I agree, because at the same time, the only racism I'm going to stand beside black people and fight is if you can show, like, you have to be able to show, like, either a physical assault or that you definitely were fired or something. It's really hard. And that's what makes it dangerous, is like racist judges in the court system. They're not going to show you any hint of racism, but they will sentence or judge in a racist manner. And I don't know how you do anything. I don't know what you do about that.
I mean, it's all about a mindset change. I mean, first off, the biases that we have for each other, like, everybody favors their own race to a certain degree, I feel like, more, unless you're training yourself to not be that way. I think that that's something that's almost innate in most people, because you're going to tend to try to gravitate toward the people that you feel like are like you until you find, you know what I'm saying, otherwise that they might not be like you. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, we start out thinking like, okay, black is this is it, or for white people it might be white is this. I don't know for white. I can't speak for white people, but cause I hear you say that y'all separate each other. I don't think y'all do all the time, but I definitely hear y'all say it on these panels a lot. So
I agree that racist white people will prefer their white people, but white people in general, we kind of hate each other, like, already. Like, that's why it's like, even if we are this Anglo-Saxon dominance on the world, you see, like, Russian white people, Ukrainian white people still at war. Like, whether they're racist, like, if they're racist over there, still fighting other white people while being racist.
Tommy, tell them what you were saying earlier about it's a cultural thing that we've worked up, the woke culture. What were you saying earlier?
Oh, the N-word is a big deal today because it's so culturally spotlit and judged, protected, or whatever among different groups that we have created more weight. We've created the weight that we're talking about with it. But another point I wanted to make, though, one of the first homeless dudes I was helping out here, this tall black dude, and I don't know what gang he was from, but he had tattoos all over his face, down to, I'm sure, places I'd never see. And walking back to my apartment, I was talking to him about this, and I said, "Do you realize it's not just a thing with you that, like, let's say I don't like you and I'm racist. If I saw a cop car coming up the street toward us, I could strategically a block away just drop N-bombs on you until you throw on me, and then that's going to get you arrested." And he, like, understood and heard me out, like, yeah, I see how it could be, like,
yeah, it's manipulation tactic. It definitely can be.
Yeah.
And that's the thing
And
that
that is so...
white people know, because, you know what I'm saying, like, they understand. Like, you gotta understand, the people that taught me literally were the first generation to integrate schools. So think about the shit that they had to deal with in order to, you know what I'm saying, make it to graduation or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't like, I tell people all the time, everybody thinks that this shit ended with civil rights and it's no longer racist. Like, we're gradually getting more and more unracist. And I don't even know if we can say that anymore, honestly. I don't think we can, because the internet has brought out a lot more of what people want to say in public that they can't say, because it's a problem behind it. And I am with Soul Player on that fact that I do rather see my racists be racist out loud and say you got a problem with me for whatever reason, so we can already get that out the way, and, you know what I'm saying, and address that shit, or not address it, just don't deal with each other or whatever, as opposed to you pretend and then you don't say the N-word, I don't do this and that and the third, but you would vote to get me out the homeowners association if I'm in your homeowners association type shit.
Well, let me click on this for just a second. I just want to respond to that before I forget, because this sounds to me like, no, it doesn't matter what your race is, because it doesn't matter if you're Mexican, black, white, Asian, whatever. It's a human condition to find something wrong with another person. And all the divisiveness that I hear on these panels in particular, and how we've been hearing about all these different court cases going on, and people are getting divisive over it, and there's a lot of hate out there. Like, it's a human condition to have issues with one another, and I don't think it's necessarily about race. It's about human beings.
Well, if somebody says that all Mexicans are criminals and racists and all this different, not racist, but, you know, all these different crazy derogatory type of terms or whatever, immigrants, I'm saying, you know, that's painting up certain people in a certain light. You know what I mean? Or if you say, well, black people are inherently violent because they only make up this amount of the population, but they'll do this many murders and shit like that. These things after alone, when you keep saying these things like that, it's not about just the behavior, you know what I'm saying? Because we could talk about a lot of behaviors and shit like that. We got a lot of sexual assaults happening. We could say, damn, white women have become a damn pandemic when it comes to these schools because they fucking all the kids. Do people say that, or even attribute sexual perversion to white women?
No, actually, whenever we hear that a hot white teacher fucked a student, we go, nice.
Exactly. We promote the shit. And I ain't gonna sit there and act like we don't in the black community as well. Because if a young boy
I can't picture a 15-year-old boy like turning it down and be, oh, I was raped by my teacher. Oh, I wish you wouldn't have fucked me. Can't picture a 15-year-old boy doing.
Even though we don't see a problem with it, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Real quick, Tommy, when you're not talking, do you mind muting up just because you have a lot of background noise? And I don't want to mute you because I don't know when you're going to
Oh, you
speak.
got a problem with my urban lifestyle? You got a problem with my urban
No,
lifestyle?
no.
No, it just overpowers when somebody else is talking. Is all.
Yeah. And so this is a great conversation. Jalen touched on to it. Jalen touched on it when he talked about culture. I definitely think it's a cultural difference. And when he talked about he comes from a first generation of desegregated schools. And I think that when we have conversations like that, we learn about the different cultures, and then so people understand it more. And so we don't have I don't want to say less problems, but just healing can begin that way.
I mean, understanding. I think that's what you know what I'm saying, get from that is if you care enough to understand. All right, well, this is why he thinks this way, or this is why Tommy thinks this way. I mean, I try to do that when I get on here, even if, like I said, I've always said most times that I've got into it with different people, or because me and Tommy actually have got into it a couple times before on flows when he was just, you know what I'm saying, straight up shooting this shit the first time, you know. I'm like, to me, I don't like the fact that I feel like people be bold on this internet but won't be in person. And you might be right. You might be the type that I don't give a fuck. I'll still call you a nigga and take that ass whooping or fight you down or shoot you or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Take it there with a person. I'm not saying that you won't. I'm just saying at some point you throwing your life away just to inherently like antagonize a person. Like it makes no sense.
No. I admit that we do operate different out here, but even online, I'm never doing it to be racist. And in life, I am usually, depending on where I've lived, I am that white dude that Dave Chappelle talks about, where like I have been the only white dude in a group of black people.
I don't see. I mean, I don't know. Because using this shit, I don't see what you would want to use it for outside of being like want to fuck with black people.
No,
that's the only
like
thing
I said,
it fucks with,
like I said,
fucks with libs, but it fucks with black people in particular. It's something that actually will bring in trauma to the black community to a certain degree that maybe not as much for all, but it definitely has a triggering effect.
Okay, then this is one of the things. I'm not saying I'm teaching people, but this is what I'm saying. Everybody gets this idea of, oh, is that how you are outside of online? Like, no, this is the opportunity to take it here. But whenever I see that I am friending up with like black people that respect me, the conversation will eventually happen. But I'm definitely never out here just going, hey, niggers, or anything like that. Sometimes I might, if you see a key moment that's like, oh, everyone will crack up if I drop it right now, that might happen. But yeah, it is different online. And I don't mean like a keyboard warrior style, because Flo will definitely use me to virtue signal against me and turn right around, and all he does is go around offending people however he can, even if not using those words.
Well, I just want to tap in on this, that I've experienced racism and the word calling and the name calling to me throughout my life. And I thought that it was really interesting that you pulled it back, Cynthia, bringing up that Jalen talked about first generation non-segregated schools. I live in California, so I have never experienced something like that or have had relatives speak about things like that. But I think that it's really important that we did talk about how the trauma behind the word and how it affects other people.
And I mean, I think we should just really like open eyes to the America regardless, because at the end of the day, we never integrated with each other. It's for the most part still predominantly black neighborhoods, still predominantly white neighborhoods, still predominantly Hispanic neighborhoods. This shit really don't change no matter where you go. It's certain places that are a little bit more diverse than others. But
all right, this is what I got to tell you then. I grew up in West Virginia, the last bastion state of the KKK. And when I was in school, all my black friends had two working parents that stayed together. And it really wasn't until like New Jack City, Boys in the Hood, that culture level dropped that you did get that spread, because we watched white and black kids together start getting into more crime, going to jail more. And maybe that is how like our culture has kind of been psyoped, because people are always surprised to hear, wait, West by God, Virginia, you had black friends, not only had black friends, their parents stayed married and had jobs and stuff. Like, yeah.
Well, actually,
go ahead.
That is a really good conversation for another stream is the influence of music and the connection with the music and the prison systems and how much that's changed society. I just wanted to say that really quick. That would be an interesting conversation at some point as well.
And another relative thing that I know the government did to us, we all know that the CIA introduced crack into the urban areas. Not many people know that these Oxycontin, fentanyl things, they push that on the rural white people areas, especially to go with like work-related injuries, get you hooked on Oxycontins and shit. Yeah, we have been turned against each other because I like how Thomas Sowell can point out in various generations they've allowed racism to subside or they've fired it back up, and the media has played a role in that.
Well, you can say that, but I also think that who controls media, who controls government, who controls most of the actors. So I get that we, you know what I'm saying,
all the same people
contributing to it to a certain degree. We are some owners out there, but we're still a very small minority of that, and we mostly are just the face of hip hop or face of entertainment to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? Because still the biggest entertainers are white. So
but I think what was the one about NWA? Well, it was called NWA, right? That did a good job of portraying like, hey, we're gonna make you big. Let's make this more about money, cash, hoes. Because remember, like Rakim and them, when they were coming up, they would rap about crime, but it would always end in the consequences. Like they would always fill in, and this kid went to jail, and this kid died.
But my thing is that what do you think that maybe hard rock, punk, and grunge did to young white youth? We already know it has radicalized them in a certain European countries with the skinhead movement and shit like that. But just what you think that those things did to, you know what I'm saying? That's why I say we always look at this on one side as if only black people are getting programmed and we just that and the third, when it's really happening to us all. It's just, all right, you more appeal to
I agree. That's what I'm saying.
or something, and I like drums and shit.
Right, no, it does happen to us all. The same with, I was saying, they pushed certain drugs to certain areas. Before white kids were affected as much by hip-hop and rap, they were rock, punk affected. But still, we have to remember it always comes down to the individual. Because I like some YouTube short or something, some joke I saw. It's like, the police are never beating up a black dude wearing a cardigan with a Starbucks cup. It's like, that's your camouflage. If you wear a cardigan sweater with a Starbucks cup, you're probably going to slide past the stop and frisk. And that's how a lot of street black dudes, I get their respect. They might like kind of catch my eye on the street and we might be kind of shifty. And I say, I may never have the black experience, but I definitely share the stop and frisk experience. And then we're cool. Then we start talking.
Well, at the end of the day, it's
you fucking
for me, it's love thy neighbor, and if shit hits the fan, hopefully your neighbor loves you the same way.
Yeah. Thank you for the lacking in penis side. Yeah, Yolanda, you out here banging. Respect thy neighbor. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we definitely should respect our neighbor.
His kid's gotta eat. You gonna feed his kids if he don't get this paper?
What? Are you talking to someone else, Tommy, or us?
I'm just fucking with Yolanda.
Oh. What were you saying, Jalen?
I was just saying, you definitely should love our neighbor, but at the same time, we got to get to a point where we kind of, like I say, understand each other enough to understand what that means and how can we, because I can get where some of the white pushback on, oh, y'all constantly calling out every little thing, because, I mean, when it got to microaggressions and then, the whole policing genders and all this different shit is a lot, you know what I'm saying, especially for a motherfucker who I don't think has ever grasped the whole racial concept all the way. Because, I mean, I think people just think if we set these laws straight and then we just say fuck it. It act like people don't have their own biases and can't interpret the law, like the judiciary, the police officer that has to enforce the laws. Like, all these things can stay. Then we got to understand the amount of number that we've been done on ourselves, like black people, you know what I'm saying? but amongst our own shit with going at each other or programming from you know what I'm saying, what they call the white man and shit like that. Cause shit, these images at a certain point do imprint in people's mind to a point that all right, we looking at all right, a lot of these white racist talking points and being like that's true. And you having, you know what I'm saying, black people validate what racist people say about a whole group of people are saying it's a whole majority. Like even when they talk about the hood, I feel like people don't necessarily ever been to the hood to actually know. I mean,
All right.
maybe you have, Tommy, of course. I ain't gonna say
Can
you
I
sound
ask?
like a what? Go ahead.
Can I ask you something off of what we were talking about earlier? I was saying I don't think that like if you see some black dude fucking up on the news, do you feel guilt like, man, we out here fucking up? Because I
Hell
don't think
no.
you
Why would
should
I
feel
feel
guilty.
like we out here fucking up? No, we ain't out here fucking up.
Because
He
I
fucking
hear
up.
a lot of rhetoric.
But
I
he
hear
is a
rhetoric
part.
from black channels and stuff like that, and I don't think it should be that way.
But I think that is ammunition to a certain degree because it's always gonna be like race for black people is always gonna be a political topic till you know what I'm saying. I guess y'all don't know. I don't know when it's gonna ever change, honestly, because you know what I'm saying. It's a
The way
certain degree that people gonna always feel of oh, okay. I see the difference between how I'm being treated and how I just seen this white patron come in the store and be treated, or how I'm getting stopped and then I see another person that gets stopped, or I'm in a car with somebody that's of maybe a coworker, especially people who live in corporate America, you know what I'm saying, who get to leave the hood and shit like that, and actually see that, you know what I'm saying, it's worse when you get into some of these more corporate areas. That's the reason why they need this DEI and shit in the first fucking place, because they don't know how to not discriminate. They think that they can lead with their stereotypes a lot of times. Oh, you don't know this song, huh, Jamal? Huh? No, I don't fucking know this fucking song. You know what I'm saying? I don't listen to all rap music, you know? So it be shit like that. This is a little shit where I think people are really over exaggerating, overblowing. I don't feel like all that shit should make you that mad. Fuck it. If you don't like it, move around from these people or just say shit, something off the jump. But I feel like people feel like they're pressured to not, because if I say something now, I'm looked at as messing up a conducive working environment and different shit like that, because still these people have control over, for the most part, how the working environment is dictated.
Okay, now that is just a work culture thing because I mean, a lot of white people are raised this way, but we do have a culture where it's like, hey, when you're at work, you just stick it to this, like stick to the work thing, and then like the more people can do this. Can I just get? Hold on a second. I'm in a store. I'll be back.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I met a lot of people that just like that. Like
he's telling me to leave my bag in front. I'm a white dude, so in case I'm.
And work is very social, in my opinion. I feel like as much as people say we just doing work, we need to stick to strictly work. You can't spend as much time as you spend with people, especially if you're working at a job for a long time. You spend probably more time with these people than you do with your own family in order to make a living. So it's not good. It's going to be social interactions. It's going to be work environments, whether, you know what I'm saying, everybody sticks to work or not.
That's when I experienced the trigger words the most, was in my work environment.
I experienced them here, and it's weird because it's not even a word. It's just like it's something they made up, and like how am I triggered by something people made up? But it was just what they were attacking me with.
Mine was, now that I think about it, one of the biggest things that was a trigger for me was being called whitewashed. That shit irritated me to no end, and I would get into heated arguments with my coworkers over that shit.
Wow.
Well, I mean, white is the dominant culture, so I don't think to it's a certain degree we all are going to be whitewashed, including white people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm talking about to more of the, I guess, Angloan culture. Like some people, white people do know, oh, I'm an Irishman or I'm this or that, but for the most part, most of them people don't give a fuck. They just assimilate to whatever this, you know what I'm saying, American culture is, and that's kind of always ever changing and never really definable all the way. I want to tell me, do you know what is American culture?
Right. I mean, that was always my response at some point in the argument, is that I'm not even recognizing that my presentation of myself had a label like that until they said it. And then I recognized that being an American potentially means washing you of your culture to become an American. which I mean earlier you got called a coconut, Cynthia, right?
Mhm.
That's where that comes
I'm always
from.
called that.
So being an American
Hmm.
is an interesting. What is being an American?
Right. Well, I think whatever you identify is, there has to be some form of respect. I like how we kind of broke it down to like this does come into respect of if you're going to use the trigger words or not, and having conversations like this help us understand why it's triggered, because sometimes people don't understand it, and if they're not affected by it, why should you be affected by it? And they're going to continue on with their mission. But once, perhaps if they can understand it more, at least understanding was accomplished.
I'm so glad Jalen clicked the link.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was rolling up some weed the whole time I was listening and shit. Just, I was gonna come up the moment Tony started saying all them niggas. I was like, man, why you feel like you teaching people by saying these words, man? I mean, I don't care. At the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal to me because, like I say, we really on the internet. He here, I'm there. You know, I mean, I'm here, he there, type shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we actually gonna ever like see each other. And if we do, I think it would actually be a lot more respectful. I ain't saying that it's not ever been not respectful, because it's been respectful since I got on here. And I want to say even before I get his point of why he say the things he's saying and why he's comfortable saying what he's saying. Because I mean, shit, it is a level what they calling the whole black fatigue. I don't necessarily feel like it's credited. Like white people should necessarily feel like they should be fatigued of black people. If anything, we should all be fatigued of, you know what I'm saying, these rich ass white motherfuckers that's been manipulating the shit out of us. But I don't know. And I ain't gonna say that black people ain't a part of that shit. And they ain't rich, and it ain't rich black people that's helping facilitate these things. But who has control over these systems?
No, you know there's Uncle Ruckuses out there and stuff. That's what I mean. There's no one thing to point at. It's just what's happened. But I don't know how old you are, but the time that white, black, and Mexican people all were the most intertwined was through Christianity and nuclear families. And like I said, they've just got the whole country fucked up these days. Like,
but I don't
when
know,
you're
Christianity to become, you know what I'm saying, really more prosperity gospel. It's not really like really teaching somebody about saving their soul or shit like that, do unto others and shit like that, because then we will have a lot more empathy. And I think one thing that I can say out of all, I ain't gonna say all, because you can say black people are starting to lack a lot of empathy as well, but I think white people lack a lot more empathy for other groups than we do, and they cause shit, like I know the Carmelo Anthony shit that you can, you know what I'm saying? Like it could be one of those situations you can point to, say, oh yeah, black people are behind that. But I think black people are being kind of divided by that shit if you really pay attention.
Yes. I liked how you brought it back to empathy. Earlier, I asked, we're having these conversations, especially on social media, where it's just, I'm going to trigger you, try to get emotion. It's creating the content and not like losing the art of conversation. Is this dulling our sense of empathy? So I like how you brought that back, because I absolutely agree. We are losing empathy for each other. It's frowned upon to have that.
It seems like it's kind of soft and shit, because I mean the way they try to portray it is all this kisses and huggies and all this different type of shit, but it's really just, you know, having the respect to know what room you in and what, like, read that room in a certain type of way and not, you know, try to step over too many boundaries. You know what I'm saying? You might do it on accident, but at least when you get hit with it, you be like, hey. And I think white people should be able to do that same shit as well. You know what I'm saying? And not be looked at as like, oh, everything we doing is racist type shit either. But at the same time, a lot of this shit do be rooted in some racism. You know what I'm saying? So
I think what's happening as far as Cynthia's with the empathy thing, I think this is where this line crosses of, on one side, you had people that only did people life until grandmothers started getting on Facebook and stuff. And then on the other side, you had kids and people like me coming up through 4chan and Call of Duty fucking lobbies and shit where nobody's taking it hard because, you know, you're just talking shit. And now all that's meshing in the middle. And so, like, people like Cynthia are like, oh, this feels like we're not human. And then some of us past gamers are like, nah, it's just the same old lobby shit talk stuff. And then we're just working that out when it happens, I guess.
So what do you think about black culture? Tommy?
I think, and I came up, like, I used to be a vinyl DJ and shit, so I respect, like, the OG, like, you had your taggers and your breakers and your MCs and everything. I think it has been manipulated, and I used to have this joke about the black community should lean into, like, the lack of intelligence so that we can prove kids weren't going and getting chemistry sets to think up crack cocaine and shit. Like, we can prove that crack cocaine was definitely thrown on them because them breakdancers weren't thinking up, like, chemistry things. But
even
yeah,
like
I don't know.
the way you broke it down to like more like the inner city, like breakdance music and shit. Like, I think black culture expounds all that shit. Like, you gotta understand, we were original rural niggas, agricultural people. You know what I'm saying? We was an agricultural workforce for centuries, pretty much. You know what I'm saying, in this country. So I mean, it's a lot of country folks that identify with the you know what I'm saying, cowboy lifestyle and ranching and all that different shit like that as well. Like, that's all black culture. Black doctors, that's black culture. And I think a lot of times we don't only see black culture as the entertainment of the world. And that's a part of the problem as well.
Well, and like you said, it's like it is kind of fronted, and that's what the big thing is now for it. But no, I'll tell people about, like, George Washington Carver, stuff like that. But I really like Thomas Sowell's historical thing where he said at the end of, like, because this country was founded once again on white people not getting along with each. We came over to this country from England because white people don't like white people. And at the end of the Civil War, when the slaves were freed, there was still that North-South beef, and you could see the difference. Like, the slaves that were freed and migrated north became more like professional, integrated into society. The ones that went down south, where white people were just drinking and listening to jazz, they did stay toward a more detrimental level. And I don't think some of the North-South war was ever truly worked out. I think they just made deals, integrated it, and here we are.
I mean, I don't know.
Among other historical things that happened, yeah.
I mean, historically, if you really look at it, even just now, present day, most of the violent cities are in the north and the east. So I don't know if that all the way holds up as far as you saying they being more professional in the north and all that stuff like that. Because I think it all depends on just the person and the values. Like, of course, the people that you're around is gonna have an influence, especially like the environment you have to live and thrive in is going to mean something to dictate how your character is as a person. I think it was hostile in pretty much every place, you know what I'm saying, that, you know what I'm saying, black people went to at an early stage in American history, because I think a lot of people, like, black people are like the first Mexicans and shit, or like, you know what I'm saying, that cheap labor force. Even like they wasn't paying black folks the same amount they were paying a white worker. So, you know what I'm saying, like, that was a cheap labor force that they could use to, like, help launch off a lot of these industries that we know of today. I ain't saying that it was all off of black people, but I'm just saying that was a way that they undercutted us in a lot of different ways. Like, when they started trying to negotiate for unions and shit, that's how they broke up the unions. Let's get these white workers against these black workers, and then they would never, you know what I'm saying, come together, because they both got to work on this in this plant together and shit like that. And go ahead.
Another thing that didn't help with the government's effort to help was the what's the job thing called? Affirmative action. Because, like, when they required companies to hire X amount of black people, that threw out the are they qualified. So if I'm required to have this many gay and black and Chinese people, regardless of if they're qualified, that makes the qualified workers be like, man, they in here fucking it up. Like, they just got that job because they're black or gay or whatever.
But that's not necessarily how that shit work if you really look at the actual evidence of it. This shit, that's you opening up qualified people. That these people are required. You got to be qualified at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? To get into Harvard or get into some certain places and shit like that. Affirmative action, all it did, the same way that DEI and all this shit, all it did was just opening up the playing field, saying you can't just pick from this pool of people. We got to understand, like, from the jump, they have never wanted to just let black people into the workforce, women into the workforce, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Of course, not gays and all the rest of the shit, you know what I'm saying? Anything outside, but just on a color-based and gender-based level, shit, they didn't want women in the workforce. The women had to go in the workforce because the men was all gone. That's the only reason why they got a chance. If it wasn't for the
Well,
effect of us going to war, we wouldn't have women in the workforce.
That was how they were destroying the families. Is you used to be able to take care of a family and buy a house and a car off of just the man's job. And in order to get kids more educated by the government, you have to get both parents working. And yeah, man, I could go on and on. We could get into the weeds on
Inflation
it.
is another big problem that's killing us. You know what I'm saying? Our American dollar, but you can say that's a lot of different things. That's going off the gold standard, different shit like that. But
well, actually,
what I'm
going
more
back
trying to
to
get
the
to
gold
is just
standard.
the attitude toward who could be an engineer, who could be the teacher, who could be like, you know, all these different things. And of course, we know school teachers, a lot of times they depicted them as women, but it was a minute where women couldn't even be the teachers. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, that is true. Great conversation. I'm glad that Tommy, thank you so much for coming up. I definitely wanted to have this conversation, and I feel like that was some rich dialogue between Jalen and Tommy tonight. So thank you, Jalen, for coming up. But it's time for final thoughts now. Tommy, do you have any final thoughts before you go?
Kikes, chinks, spick, nigger.
Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming up. Jalen, what about you?
Man, like I said, respect that Tommy, you know what I'm saying, kept it PG all the way to the very end, I guess. But yeah, at the end of the day, man, I think that we don't take this shit and be more serious with it and actually try to understand each other. Not saying that Tommy wasn't, but I could kind of somewhat assume that it was just to be, you know what I'm saying, playing shit. But I think that's part of the problem too, because I think we take certain subjects and it's lighthearted. It's who cares, because it doesn't really, it's never really going to affect you a certain way. If you say all those words, you know what I'm saying, if you're not Jewish, black, you know what I'm saying, a Chinese man, it doesn't fucking matter really, right? You know what I'm saying? But if you are one of those people, it's like, well, damn, do he really have the respect for me that I'm trying to show to him? And that's how some people will look at it when they come to the table, when it comes to time. Because, like, I think we all have bigger problems at hand, honestly, when it comes down to it. The government has been, you know what I'm saying, figuring out ways to, you know what I'm saying, get rid of us in so many ways, shape, or form. Because the less people, the better. You know, I feel like that's a big thing that we have facing us. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people are trying to help usher that in, and a lot of it's the same conservative bullshit that everybody feel like they gotta lean into. I'm not saying that liberals are fucking great. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to deal with some gay shit here and there. You're gonna have to deal with this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, they're not stripping freedoms necessarily away. You know what I'm saying? To a certain degree, you might be mad because they tell it, because you got people out here saying you can't say this word, you can't say that word, you can't do this, you can't do that. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit, why would you even want to do that? Why would you, even if you don't like gay people or trans people, why would you want to just go up and openly just come at them with some bullshit just because they trans? Like, unless they just trans all in your faces. I'm a trans. Like some shit like that. Then yeah, go off on that motherfucker. Obviously he's obnoxious, or she, whatever, he, she. But I'm just saying, bro, like, it's certain levels of respect we gotta have for each other as human beings, regardless of how we feel, who we think. And I think sometimes we don't get that from either side. But I think a lot from, in my opinion, from the, you know what I'm saying, the white people who don't necessarily have to, because it doesn't really affect them. They can be nonchalant about it.
And I like the way, again, I'm going to say it again, I like the way you shared the story about your grandparents, because it didn't affect them. And it's like they don't understand the effect that it has at childhood when you grow up in those type of homes, and the conversations that your family has with you, and they just don't really understand that. But having these type of conversations, I hope, does somehow open up that window to understanding.
Yeah.
So,
because in my day and age, racism wasn't just something that just, it's coming at you every fucking day. It's something that you're going to recognize every single moment. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm getting warned about all this different shit that how white people are. And then turn around and, like, having all these good experiences. And then I say, all it be is that one time you piss somebody off or some shit come up missing or stuff like that, man. And the way you get treated, you be like, damn. When you done seen different situations where other people, they knew it was this other person that wasn't that hot about it. It wasn't this big of a controversy that everybody needs to, you know what I'm saying, have a chime in about it, or say all this hurtful shit about how, you ain't shit and this, that, and the third. Or, you know, and this or you people shit. That'd be another one because I mean it's the dog whistles. It ain't always the words, man, the actual triggering words. It's the dog whistles. It's trying to put you in a certain box when you know what I'm saying. You know who you are as a person. You know you don't fit that box, but
Right.
that's what I'm gonna leave it at. I appreciate y'all having me up, man. It was a good conversation, man. I need to go over here to Triggs anyway. I'm sure it's about that time.
Oh yeah, it almost is. It almost is. Oh, it's gonna be a
So
good one
look,
tonight too.
y'all have a good one.
All righty, bye. Thank you, Jalen. Yolanda, what do you think about tonight's show? Any closing words?
Yeah. Just that it's important that we pay more attention to the words that we use every day. You don't necessarily always know how they're going to impact our brains. The words obviously leave a mark because we still are hearing about trauma, generational trauma from the dialogue. So just pay attention to your inner dialogue as well, and that it doesn't become your enemy and also a main obstacle, because what you tell yourself can become a prophecy.
It sure can. All right, I'm gonna put you backstage super quick. Awesome. Hey, Margot, you're late to the show. We're doing closing thoughts right now.
I apologize. I just wanted to come in and say hello.
Well, thank you so much for coming up. I enjoyed you earlier over at Tommy's, and y'all had great dialogue, and I just really appreciate it, and I was inspired. There was something you said though, actually, and I wrote it down, and now I can't remember where I wrote it down at, but I wrote it down for tonight's topic, but it was
was it about the one of the words that triggered me was when I was wrong, the word wrong.
Yeah, it was something like that, and you talked about your experience, and you said a quote in there that I was like, oh, I need to use this quote tonight, and I wish but girl, I got like 3
Well,
notes.
and I think I think well, and Jack accused me of being wrong about him many times, and that's what started the whole thing, and it did trigger me because when in when you're professional, when you have a job, being wrong is something you do your damnedest to not be, right?
Yeah.
It makes you look unreliable.
Yes.
It discredits you. It can make you look lazy. It can make you look like a liar.
That's what you were triggered by. It says Margot was triggered by being told she was a liar, and I think when we get told something that is not true, that's what triggers, because you're telling this lie about us.
Well, and when I'm called a liar, I mean, we're all human, right? And we all protect ourselves, so we do on occasion lie. Little white lies, lies not to hurt people, lies to children. We do that, lies to cops or whatever. But when we're told we're wrong, that means that we believe something incorrectly, and that's and then that is now an opportunity to learn. And so if we are a lifetime learner, we're going to go back and find out what we did wrong or what we said wrong, clarify it, find out what it was, not do it again, and or apologize if necessary. Correct?
Yes.
Now, back to, we already discussed it in a professional way. Now, when you are a collegiate, especially when you get up in your master's degree or your PhD, when you are presenting your hypothesis, your thesis, something that you've learned.
Oh my goodness! Oh, you get your finger over the mic or something.
Sorry. When you are defending what you've studied for years, you cannot be wrong.
Oh,
because you have to work the wrong out of it. let's say I'm going to say that autistic students are not smart, right? That is wrong. That is wrong.
Right.
And I would have learned that that was wrong if I would have continually went back to autistic children and tested them and shown it that they're not stupid. Therefore, I've defunct what I believed, and now I am no longer wrong. And you have to do that with every single word that you put in your thesis. You have to make sure that it is right because someone's going to find it, right? Someone's going to find it. And that's kind of like the panel verse too. If you say something wrong, someone is going to take especially if they don't like you, someone is going to find a way to prove that you've said something wrong. So when number one, I've taken this stands with Jack Talcott. Okay, he's in Washington D.C., right? If he fails, he's going to blame everyone. Therefore, I am going to reach out to the senators and the congressmen and let them know that he's there. So when and if he fails, he cannot blame it on me. I did everything that I could.
Okay.
That is the stance that I've taken with Jack Talcott. I think everyone should do that.
Oh, okay.
Because then at the end of the day, if he fails, we can say, hey, we did our part. We did what we could do to get you into Congress, correct?
Absolutely.
So, that is the stance that I've taken. Now, Jack came up on his panel today and I made a comment or something. I challenged him about something and he said, "Oh, Margot has been wrong about me many times or several times."
That's what triggered you
and that's what triggered me. And that's when I said, "Okay, let's go. If I've been wrong, Jack, you better tell me, show me how, and you better fucking have the evidence."
And I loved that because there was a phrase that you used, and I wrote it down as one, and it was, "Can I get a little bit more clarification on that?"
Yes.
So I loved it. Thank you for coming up. I hate that you came up at the end of the show, but
No, that's okay. That's okay, love. Have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Awesome, guys. Well, we had a great show tonight, didn't we? Didn't we? We had a wonderful show. Margot, are you leaving, girl? Margot. Okay. We had a wonderful show tonight. All right, Margot, I sent you out the door, girl. Nothing, not just ending my show. But we had a wonderful night tonight. First of all, who loved the side of Tommy that y'all saw tonight? I know I did. I know I did. I always enjoy having conversations with Tommy, even though I showed that montage of things that Tommy has said to me. And I can see why people would be like, well, why do you talk to him when he's talked to you like that? And it's because I do appreciate his authenticity. And I don't hold anything that he says personal. We talked about it's okay to be emotional. Just have a balance about it to yourself. If you're triggered by these words or you find yourself getting upset, step back, step away from that. The art of conversation. Again, these conversations that we involve ourselves in, pay attention to that. And most of all, we walked away understanding that it's important to have respect, regardless of what their stance are, what their opinion is, who they are. It's always important to have respect for somebody. And like Margot was telling Jack, can I get a little bit more clarification on that? If you think that somebody's coming at you or trying to trigger you for nefarious reasons, or perhaps, they're just trying to connect with you and have a conversation with you, never, ever just assume it's the worst until you know more. I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Please make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. Next week, we will be having the show over at Yolanda's channel, The Mad Chatter, and I will be restreaming. Please make sure to tune in. We have a show every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. I got started late today. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we just have conversations about life and what it's like navigating on the panelverse. Alrighty, guys. With that being said, I am going to close out with these words.
When I was a little boy, Mama, we had one coat. It was freezing. And I said, Mom, why you get to wear the coat? I get cold. She said, because that's your little brother. I said, Mom, I ain't going to school. It's cold out there. She said, I'll tell you what. Give me that goddamn coat. She said, stick your arm in that side. Okay, you stick your arm in that side. And then she zipped it up the middle. Now both of you motherfuckers got a damn coat. This is how it works. Nobody will freeze, but everybody gonna compromise.